Welcome to Readings in Isolation. My name is Saman Giraud and I'll be reading for you the 96th night of 1001 Nights. I hope you all had a lovely day. I think this happened the last time I was reading too. Alright. And if you're all comfortable, I'm going to start. Now when it was the 96th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Shah Khan and his brother, Zau al-Makan and the Vizier Dandan, set off with 100 horse for the hermitage described to them by that accursed Zat al-Dawahi. And they took with them mules and chests for transporting the treasure. Now as soon as dawned the morn, the chamberlain signalled to the host an order for departure, and they set out, thinking that the 2 kings and the vizier were with them, knowing not that the 3 had made for the monastery. Such was the case with the host, but as regards the 2 kings and the minister, they tarried in their place till the end of that day. Now the infidels who were with Zat al-Dawahi took their departure privily, after they had gone in to her and kissed her hands and feet and obtained her leave to march. So she not only gave them permission, but also taught them all she minded of wile and guile. And when it was dark night, she arose and went in to Zau al-Makan and his companions and said to them, "Come, let us set out for the mountain, and take with you a few men at arms." They obeyed her, and left 5 horsemen at the foot of the mountain, whilst the rest rode on before Zat al-Dawahi, who gained new strength for excess of joy, so that Zau al-Makan said, "Glory be to him who sustaineth this holy man, whose like we never saw." Now the witch had written a letter to the king of Constantinople and dispatched it on the wings of a bird, acquainting him with what had passed and ending. "I wish thee to send me 10,000 horsemen of the bravest of the Greeks, and let them steal along the foot of the mountains with caution, lest the host of al-Islam get sight of them. And when they reach the hermitage, let them ambush themselves there, till I come to them with the Muslim king and his brother. For I shall inveigle them, and will bring them thither, together with the vizier and 100 horse, and no more, that I may presently deliver to them the crosses which be in the hermitage. I am resolved to slay the monk Matruhina, since my scheme cannot be carried out by taking his life. If my plot work well, not one of the Muslims shall return to his own country. No, not a living wight, nor one who blows the fire alight. And Matruhina shall be a sacrifice for the followers of the Nazarene faith and the servants of the cross, and praise be to the Messiah, first and last." When this letter reached Constantinople, the keeper of the carrier pigeons carried it to King Afridun, who read it and forthwith inspected his host and equipped 10,000 cavaliers with horses and dromedaries and mules and provant, and bade them repair to that hermitage, and after reaching the tower, to hide therein. Thus far concerning them. But as regards King Zau al-Makan and his brother Shah Khan and the Vizier Dandan and the escort, when they reached the hermitage, they entered and met the monk Matruhina, who came out to see who and what they were. Whereupon quoth that pious man Zat al-Dawahi, "Slay this damned fellow." So they smote him with their swords and made him drink the cup of death. Then the accursed old woman carried them to the place of offerings and ex-votus, and brought out to them treasures and precious things more than she had described to them. And after gathering the whole together, they set the booty in chests and loaded the mules therewith. As for Tamasil, she came not. she or her father, for fear of the Muslims. So Zau al-Makan tarried there, awaiting her all day and the next and a third, till Shah Khan said to him, "By Allah, I am troubled anent the army of al-Islam, for I know not what I become of them." His brother replied, "And I also am concerned for them. We have come by this great treasure, and I do not believe that Tamasil or anyone else will approach the hermitage after that befell which hath befallen the host of the Christians. It behoveth us then to content ourselves with what Allah hath given us and depart. So haply He will help us conquer Constantinople." Accordingly, they came down from the mountain, while Zat al-Dawahi was impotent to oppose their march for fear of betraying her deceit. And they fared forwards till they reached the head of a defile, where the old woman had laid an ambush for them with 10,000 horse. As soon as these saw the Muslims, they encircled them from all sides, couching lance and bearing the white saber blade, and the infidels shouted the watchword of their faithless faith and set the shafts of the mischief astray. When Zau al-Makan and his brother Shah Khan and the minister Dandan looked upon this host, they saw that it was a numerous army and said, "Who can have given these troops information of us?" Replied Shah Khan, "O my brother, this be no time for talk. This is the time for smiting with swords and shooting with shafts. So gird up your courage and harden your hearts, for this strait is like a street with two gates. Though by the virtues of the Lord of Arabs and Ajams, were not the place so narrow, I would bring them to naught, even though they were 100,000 men." Said Zau al-Makan, "Had we wotted this, we would have brought with us 5,000 horse." And the Vizier Dandan continued, "If we had 10,000 horse, they had availed us naught in these narrows, but Allah will succour us against them. I know this defile and its straightness, and I know there be many places of refuge in it, for I have been here on razzia with King Omar bin al-Numan, what while we besieged Constantinople. We abode in this place, and here is water colder than snow. So come, let us push out of this defile ere the infidel host increase on us and get the start of us to the mountain top, whence they will hurl down rocks upon us, and we powerless to come at them." So they began hurrying on to get out of those narrows, but the pious man, Zat al-Dawahi, looked at them and said, "What is it ye fear? Ye who have vowed yourself to the Lord and to working His will. By Allah, I abode imprisoned underground for 15 years, yet never gainsaid the Almighty I aught He did with me. Fight ye in Allah's way, so whoever of you is slain, paradise shall be his abode. And whoso slayeth, his striving shall be to his honour." When they heard from the ascetic these words, their care and anxiety ceased from them, and they stood firm till the infidels charged down from all sides, whilst the swords played upon their necks, and the cup of death went round amongst them. The Muslims fought for the service of Allah a right good fight, and wrought upon his foes with sway of sword and lunge of lance, whilst Zau al-Makan smote upon the men, and guard the knights bite the dust, and their heads from the bodies take flight, 5 by 5, and 10 by 10, till he had done to death a number of them past numbering, and an account beyond counting. Now while so doing, he looked at the accursed old woman who was waving her sword and hearting them, and all who feared fled to her for shelter. But she was also signing the infidels to slay Shah Khan. So troop after troop rushed on him with design to do him die, but each troop that charged, he charged and drove back. And when another troop attacked him, he repelled the assault with the sword in their backs. For he thought it was the devotee's blessing that gave him the victory, and he said in himself, Verily, on this holy man Allah looketh with eyes of his favour, and strengtheneth my prowess against the infidels with the purity of his pious intent. For I see that they fear me, and cannot prevail against me. But every one who assaileth me turneth tail and taketh flight. So they battled the rest of the day, and when night fell, the Muslims took refuge in a cave of that defile, being weary with stress of war and cast of stone. And that day were slain of them 45. And when they were gathered together, they sought the devotee, but could find no trace of him. And this was grievous to them, and they said, Belike, he hath died in martyr. Quoth Shah Khan, I saw him heartening the horsemen with divine instances and using as talisman verses of holy writ. Now while they were talking, behold, the accursed old woman, Zat al-Dawari, stood before them, handing in hand the head of the chief captain of the 10,000 horse, a noble knight, a champion fierce in fight, and a Satan for blight. One of the Turks had slain him with an arrow, and Allah hurried his soul to the fire. And when the infidels saw what that Muslim had done with their leader, they all fell on him and wrought his bane and hewed him in pieces with their swords. And Allah hurried his soul to heaven. Then the accursed old woman cut off that knight's head and brought it and threw it at the feet of Shah Khan and Zau al-Makan and the Vizier Dandan. Now when Shah Khan saw her, he sprang up hastily before her and exclaimed, Praised be Allah for thy safety and for our sighting thee, O holy man and devout champion of the religion. Replied she, O my son, I have sought martyrdom this day, and have thrown my life away amid the infidel array, but they feared me with dismay. When ye dispersed, I waxed jealous for your honour. So I rushed on the chief knight, their leader, albeit he was a match for 1,000 horse, and I smote him till I severed head from trunk. Not one of the infidels could near me, so I brought his head to you. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. That was an exciting one, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed the reading, everyone, no matter where you are in this beautiful world that seems a bit upside down. And I wish you a lovely night. If you just woke up, a wonderful morning, a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, all of it. And sweet dreams from Vienna. Much love. Have a great night. And see you tomorrow. Joanna will be picking up. Thanks for tuning in.